At the moment, the way our industry is going, it's definitely in a decline, and everybody's worried, both financially and about the future. There's nobody out there that can say that we're safe, because we're heading into scary times, and I think that it has to be taken very seriously, what they're doing in Australia and how it works and why it works. And there's no reason why we can't start making it work here. We need to start putting energy and effort into going forward and making it happen. And the only way we can do that is for the IGB to go out and look at the Australian model. And you need the right people that have the right mindset going over there to take it on board, because the amount of top people I spoke to that went out in the past that said, oh, there's no people going to the tracks. If they have that mindset going out, it'll never happen. And, we're just going down, we're sinking. And I had asked the board, over the last year to try and get the Irish Greyhound website improved, because it's years behind, and I'm told that it's hopefully in the 5-year plan. Well, I hope we don't have to wait too much longer for the 5-year plan, because we've been promised this since October, and in my opinion time's running out. And I just hope that the 5-year plan is good, because we need something to save us now at the moment. It works out there. There's no getting away from that. Not only is their prize money huge, but they're running it every track as a business. They have their own catering, and they have to make it work, and they do make it work. And we have to start taking more of that on board here, and we have to start, making things happen and getting out there. IT is all the way to go nowadays. It's everybody has Androids or iPhones and access to computers, and times are changing so quickly and so rapidly. And to try to keep the younger people involved as well, it's all about being able to get on your phone and having a look at it as it's happening, or just as it's happened, not the next day when it's old news. Because in any aspect of news that's happening around the world, or things that are going on in the world, it's all about getting to know about it now, because people want today's news now, not tomorrow. And we have to start looking at that more, where the IGB site needs to start coming up to date and getting things, because it's vital. We need to be able to bet on dogs when we want to be able to bet on dogs. Over in Australia, they can see 9 tracks each night. We're lucky if we can see 1 or 2 here. Well, the gallop was newly laid this year, because with all the wet weather, we had a little bit of a problem with some flooding. So we laid it, we dug up everything from scratch. And it was a big job, because we took everything off it, and then we put in special drainage, then we put in a special type of stone on top of that, and then we put in a huge amount of drainage, and then we put therm on it, a special type of therm, and then we put in 5 to 6 inches of a special lime-free sand that we had to get. It was especially brought in so that we'd no problems with it later on. And then we had the sawdust came in from actually PJ Fahy, helped me out great, and it was fabulous sawdust, so it's a great job, and absolutely over the moon with it. It's 320 metres long, and it's slightly uphill, but they seem to really travel very fast on it, and once you give them a gallop, they put a huge effort into it, so it's plenty long enough. The first 2 dogs I put up the gallop was Razldazl Riga, and the second dog that was after him was Razldazl Luke. So they're just starting back. They're having a light campaign at the moment, and they went up very well. And then the second 2 was, the fawn dog was Razldazl Apollo, and a young unraced bitch that's only 15 months called Razldazl Bonnie. The purpose of the visit was to go out and see how the industry was running out there, and to see if it was worth my while to, race dogs out there, and just, to see how it was all happening, because I'd heard so much about Australia and you hear from other people what it's like. I wanted to go out and see it for myself, and I'd basically, for the last number of years here, achieved quite an amount, but I was just looking for, something fresh and something new to begin with. And I could see Australia as being, the thing for me. But I was never going to go out and live out there. I wanted to go out and perhaps, race a few dogs and send a few dogs and go out and, race a few myself, but not to live out there and to set up, training establishment out there. To me, they're light years ahead of us, and in every aspect. And I firmly believe that the Irish Greyhound Board have to go over there and study their model and bring home certain aspects of their model that's working out there and try and get it to work here, because it will work. Not every aspect will work. Like they have the tab, which is hugely successful. And it's 8-dog racing, remember, so it works better in Australia than it would here. There's the whole thing of there's nobody going to the tracks. Well, so what? It doesn't have to have people going to the tracks. It's all done from the couch at home. And that's the way things are going nowadays. It's all on IT and people having access to, iPads, Androids, iPhones. And over in Australia, no matter where you are, if you're in a restaurant, a pub, you can watch the greyhound racing and you can have your bet. So there's huge turnover over there simply because of the ease of which they can watch greyhound racing. They run it as a business, and we need to start looking at it from a more business point of view rather than a social point of view. And if we look at it that way and we bring in aspects of, what works out there, be it their tab, because of their tab and the way their prize money is so good. The prize money is absolutely huge, like 350,000 all the way through. And because of that, it leads on to so many different aspects. And their integrity issues are fantastic, the way they run their business, even to the greyhound tracks. They have their own catering, so they're getting money in from that. They actually have money from slots as well. So there's several different things over there that could work here. Not everything and the way it's done will work here, but they'll learn a huge amount. The first track I went to was the Meadows, and when I went to the Meadows, Eddie Corona was very helpful, and he gave us a huge insight into the track surface and how everything was run. But I spoke to the groundsman and to the hairdriver and the people upstairs, and I asked them about the maintenance on a track. Now, when I look up how to look after a track at home here, I would say get onto the Irish Greyhound Board, and there's a 1-page document on how to maintain a track. And to me, that's not good enough, because I'd actually looked into it before I went across. When I asked them about track maintenance, I was given a manual, and it was just amazing. The way they look after the tracks, the way they harrow the tracks. They don't, to me, in Ireland here, we nearly over-harrow the tracks, and we get an awful lot of inconsistency. You could go to Shelburne Park on a Wednesday, and it could be running -20, and come the later races, then the track starts to get normal. Come Saturday night, the track could be running 40, 50, 60 fast. There's a huge variation. You don't get that in Australia. And it's all because of the way they maintain the track, the way they cut the track, the way they roll the track. And every dog is running on the same type of surface. Where over here, you come the first race, the track could be running normal. By the time you get to the 8th race, it's actually running 30 or 40 or 50 faster. And the reason, in my opinion, being is that the track is run the same for every dog. So when they go even around the track, they go round clockwise the first time, and then for the second race, they go round anti-clockwise. And for every race, the track is plated for every dog. So every dog is running on the same. If it needs watering, it's watered in between racing. So they try to keep it the same for every race. And it's absolutely amazing the way they look after it. I thought their surface was fantastic when I walked it. I thought their going was very good. Now, some people say their going will be a bit harder and faster. But, they don't seem to get any more injuries. If anything, they would get less injuries because they're able to run their dogs 100 times over there. And you're saying, well, why can't we do that here? Like once a dog goes into open class company, dog can't take more than 30 runs, 40 runs at the very most. We're over there, they're able to run 50, 60 races in top company. And that's all to do with the track surface. Inside of the traps, they even have little slots, wooden slots, a type of a special slot going across. When the dog breaks, traps out, he's able to get his grip. So he doesn't slip back in the traps. And everything is based on looking after the dog. And the tracks are so wide, they're huge, big galloping tracks. They're able to cater they're nearly twice the width of ours. So the dog comes out and he has like nearly a 5.75 long run to the corner, which we don't have here. All our runs are nearly short runs to the first bend. So the dogs can sort themselves out. Now they have no seeding. And yet the dogs, when they go to the first bend, are able to sort themselves out because you'll see the dogs, because of the inside hair as well, dogs don't come out of trap 1 and drift straight across to, say, trap 8. That doesn't happen. They're all going in a straight line and they're able to run the bend better because of the camper on the bend and the track is so big. So, there's so many aspects to it that favour the dog, in other words. And, I thought it was a fantastic setup. This is Razldazl Faye, a sister to Razldazl George and JFK and Kingo. And we hope that she's in pup to Godsend, so she's just been mated. The other bitch is Razldazl Alice, and she's the sister of Makeshift, and she's having a repeat mating to Kinloch Bray, so she looks to have a nice few pups in her. Now, this is an unraced pup. He's just going on 15 months. He's by Razldazl Billy out of Razldazl Prue. This is Razldazl Bonnie. She's an unraced bitch also, and she's by Razldazl Billy and Razldazl Prue, so they're brother and sister. This is Razldazl JFK, and he's actually standing at stud now in Frightful Flash Kennels, but we just keep him up here and kennel him, and he goes down whenever the bitches are ready to be mated. So, we're hopeful that he'll do very well at stud, and he's had some nice bitches at the moment, and he's doing really well and quite busy, so lots to look forward to with him. This is Razldazl George, the Derby winner, and he's also standing at stud in Frightful Flash Kennels. Very relaxed dog, and is doing very well at stud also. So we're busy. We nearly have the road war out going up and down to Michael Dunn's at the moment. But again, very hopeful that he'll do well at stud. This is Razldazl Riga. You just saw him going up the gallop, and this is Micheál Hertig's dog. And he's been fantastic for us, some great wins in the Laurels and the Race of Champions at Tralee. So we've decided, because he's injury-free, that we're going to bring him back and give him a couple of races and see how he, goes this year. He's having a trial in Limerick on Saturday night, and he'll run in the open sprint on the big night in Limerick in 2 weeks' time. This is Seabank Butch. He's also an unraced pup that we're just starting off. He's by Kinloch Bray and out of a sister to Razldazl Riga and Bugatti. He's shown some very good promise in his couple of hand slips, and I'm hopeful for him that he'll be, turn into a really good dog. This is another brother to the two you saw earlier by Razldazl Billy and Razldazl Prue. And just started to do a bit of work on him. He's only barely 15 months, so there's been no schooling really done on him, but he's shown me a lot of pace. So I'm very happy with him, and possibly one for Australia. Yeah. This is Kingo. And we brought him back for the Cesarage this year, but he had a little bit of a mishap at the pickup. I don't know what happened to him, but we'll run him in Limerick also and just place him in a few one-off races and see what the future holds with him. But he's in great form, and we'll see if we can, have a bit of fun with him. This is Razldazl Bow Wow, and he actually belongs to two very well-known show jumping people, Tiernan Gill and Vincent Duffy. And he's going to be racing now in the next 5 or 6 weeks. He's by Kinloch Bray out of a sister to Razldazl Riga and Bugatti. So we're going to have a big night out because he's going to have some following the night that he runs. Show jumping, yeah, I love show jumping. It's a big pastime. I took it up basically when I realised I needed a life. I'd packed in greyhound racing, as everyone knows, it took a year out as a sabbatical. And I suppose I got a midlife crisis and decided that I always loved horses, and I decided then to go down the road of show jumping. Well, I actually did a bit of just cross country and a little bit of hunting first, and then I took up show jumping. So I do a lot of the SJI with Jack Doyle. Drax my trainer and mentor, and keeps my brain focused, and he's a great person, and I've had some really good times, and I think without it sometimes you'd find greyhound racing at times can really get the better of you, and it's kind of a great pastime, so I love it. This is an unraced pup again, and he's by Razldazl Billy out of Dear Prudence, who's actually the mother of Razldazl Prue. Just started him off, and he's shown a lot of promise, and possibly one for Australia as well. And he looks a nice kind of a dog. He's flying up the gallops, and I've given him just a couple of trials, and he definitely looks like he's open class at the moment. Because I'd spoke to Darren, he was the trainer of Brett Lee, and I met up with Darren, and after being in Darren's 10 minutes, I knew I didn't have to go and look at another trainer's kennels, because it was like home from home. Darren only has a small kennel, and he would be very much, on the same mindset with dogs as I am. And he trains them and looks after them, to the same extent. So when I saw Darren's and met him as a person, I was over the moon that the dogs would be going to Darren, because, I could see that they would do well. If the dogs were good enough, Darren would get the results. So I'm sending the dogs out. I'm sending 2 dogs first. That's Razldazl Luke and Razldazl Apollo. They go out in early May, and then after that I'm sending some unraced dogs out there, because I noticed when I was over there, I found in the last few years when I had unraced dogs, I found it a bit frustrating and very difficult, especially throughout the year in Shelburne. There just wasn't enough of a pup. You take a Razldazl Luke, his second race ever, he had to take on Sparta Maestro. And that's unfair to a dog, but they look after their young dogs all the way through, right up to 2.5 years of age. I was going to go back over because she's had all her vaccines, and going to back over in May. But Marlon's coming season, but she'd be just out of season. The timing would be right, but Miata got hurt. So it'll all depend if Paul Stewart can get her back. But if he gets her back, I'd definitely go out and try it as a challenge. You have to have the best, because their dogs are really good over there. I'm not saying that they're better. We don't know that until we start going more international, where we go over there and race, and then they come over here and race. And until that day happens, nobody's going to be able to say whose dogs are better. But certainly to go over and take them on at the top level, you have to have a champion. Like the Australian breeding has worked over here. You take a Top Honcho, he was one, and Frightful Flash. They were 2 that really started the ball and rolling. And At the moment we're sending out straws of our own stud dogs, Razldazl George and JFK in makeshift. And in Australia, I think the way their breeding has gone now is like what we were, say, 10 or 15 years ago. Our breeding had nearly come to a stage where we needed an outcross, and that's why it works so well. And we didn't always get their best dogs imported as stud dogs until maybe, say, Brett Lee was one of the tops. And it worked for us here. Now I can see the way it's going in Australia. They have come to a stage that they now need more of an outcross. You see even Paul going and he's getting the coursing now. Personally, I think that's, that it's not, okay, I can't say it's not going to work. Who says it won't? But I just think they need that outcross. And so that's why you have dogs like Premier Fantasy did so well out there. This is a Razldazl Billy out of Razldazl Faye, who is the sister of Razldazl George and JFK in Kingo. And he's going on 8 months and he's a smashing pup. He's loads of pace up the field and he's the temperament to match. And he's a very good looker, so high hopes for him. This is his sister. She's Razldazl Billy out of Razldazl Faye, and she's a lovely bitch, great length about her, and she never stops running, and she has a great bit of pace up the field. Great temperaments as well, and all they want to do now is go into the race kennels and be one of the race dogs. This is a Kinloch Bray out of Razldazl Alice, and he's just 7 months. And he's a lovely pup, lovely temperament, and all they want to do is run and get into the kennels as well. Once they come in around by the race dogs, they want to come in and, be like them, because when we're rearing them, we just handle them so much, and we let them into the kennel environment, so it's not so strange and stressful when they come in from the fields. Now, you wouldn't believe it, but if you look at my puppies, they very rarely have bites gone out of them, and they get badly bitten. It's because they're always kept amused here all day. And believe it or not, what we do is we give out milk cartons and we dry them out, and then we put dry Red Mills XL into them, and they have to figure out to try and get the XL out of the container. So it keeps them very amused for quite a while, and then they take each other on chasing with the plastic bottle. So it's great fun for them. In Australia, they have several stewards at each racetrack, and for every aspect, both for the racing, for the kennel security and for the drug testing. Over there they have a camera angle that the camera is at the first bend, so they see the dogs head on going to the first bend like they do in horse racing. Then at the third bend they have another camera and they see the dogs going down the back straight around the 2 bends, and they have the camera angle again. So at every point of the race they can see what happens to dogs. So for the betting alone, that's a big help, because you're getting a clear description of what's happening each dog during the race. You see if he got impeded, balked, and you see it clearly, not like a guessing game that we have here. And then if a dog does happen to interfere with another dog or turn his head, it's there for everyone to see, and the owner or trainer is brought in, they're shown in the steward's room what their dog has done, and it's very, very clear. It's not a guessing game, it's facts over there. And then when you go into the racing kennels, it's strictly 1 person per dog. When a dog has to be bandaged, the vet puts the bandage on the dog. The dog is, when you go to get your dog out for a race, they've 8 dogs in a race, so they take, say, 3 dogs out of the racing kennels. The control steward is there, and they go into, say, the weigh room. Then they take the next 3 dogs. So there's not 8 dogs taken out of the race kennels at any one stage. Everything is monitored all the way through. And before you even are allowed to get a dog out for a race, they have what they call security seals on every kennel. So if somebody goes up and the seal has been tampered with, that race is void. So you know for definite no dog has been touched or got at during a race. So it just cuts out all the doubt. And what they do then is, for the race, there's a steward with the dogs at all stages. When they're testing the dogs, nobody knows what dogs have been tested. And when they do go to test, if they're testing a big final, all the dogs are put into a special kennel. It's a segregation kennel. And they have to be kennelled for a minimum of 1 hour in that kennel before they are drugs tested. So that if anything was administered, say, beforehand, it's gone right through the kidneys, and then they get the positives, if there are positives, which hopefully they're not getting too many. But, you know, it cuts out all the doubt. And the same with when they're drug testing, they do out of training, what's known as, like, say, out of racing drug testing. They turn up for a big final to a trainer if he's a dog in the final on a Tuesday. And they do like what they do for the athletes, and they'll drug test them on the Tuesday. And then they drug test them again on the night of the final. So everything is, their integrity out there is incredible, because they have to be seen to do things right, to make the betting, and the owners, you know, everybody has to be happy and everybody has to be seen that it's been done. And it's remarkable the way they look after their integrity. We have you know, a lot of facilities for treating the dogs. And I'm a great believer in, you know, the ultrasound and the laser and giving dogs, you know, a lot of treatment, because they're racing athletes and they can pick up a lot of injuries. But I have Razldazl William here, and when he sees the dog's been treated, even though he's a house pet, he believes that he has a problem as well with one of his legs. So I'm going to show you now what he does. That's very sore. Oh, that's very painful. Now, is that better? Is that better? Say thank you. Say thank you. Properly now. Say no, on this. The way our industry is at the moment, there's so much uncertainty out there. And I want things to improve as well as, you know, okay, I've not as much to lose as everyone else, a lot of people, because, okay, I've been pretty successful, but, you know, there's people out there and they're struggling, and they're struggling big time. And, you know, we need to be doing more for people out there to try and make things happen. Like, even for the breeding end of things, when I had the last few years, we had bred a lot of our own dogs, and we brought in quite a lot of the percentage of the prize money, that when a dog wins a big race, he gets 10% of the prize money. And to me, that did nothing to make me want to breed, you know, a litter of pups. It was great to get the bonus and great to get the money. But I wouldn't wake up in the morning and say, oh, I've got that money, now I'll breed another litter of pups. And I think we have to start looking at things differently. And I think that if I had suggested that instead of giving out 10% of the prize money to all of the people that won a big race, because if you win a derby or you win a classic, your brood bitch is made and you'll sell pups from her. So you're already on a winner. If there was a scheme done, an incentive, and to give X amount of money for breeders to breed a litter of pups, and if they were given that amount of money, they could then go along and, you know, they have a few bob in their pocket to breed in the morning. They'll pick out a better stud dog because they've got a few more pound. So that has to improve our breeding. They'll have money for the vaccinations, and they'll have money to put good food into the dogs, and it's a kickstart. And then if they sell the pups, then, you know, and we need things to start, you know, encouraging breeding and owners into the game. And we need to start looking at ownership as well, because there's so many owners, you know, have either got out of the game and we're just not getting in new owners into the game. And we have to start looking at different aspects. You take it, there's nothing been done on syndication. So we need to start making things happen on that front, because ownership is key. If we haven't got owners, we've nothing. And if we're able to, like you take it, Steve Flooney has the Champagne Syndicate going in England. It's a huge success. And the same type of model could be done here. And, you know, get things often, start getting things more back on track and more positive and make things happen. But there's not enough happening at the moment. If they had a young trainers championship in every track, that anybody young or say an amateur type of trainer were able to take on each other in certain races and competitions. And then you have, like say, a national and all around the country, and then you have one big race sponsored in Shelbourne Park, which would be their derby. Now, if you get up in the morning and you have at the end of the year a vision in your head that you maybe could become a champion trainer in Shelbourne Park, be it a young champion trainer or an amateur, it's all about mind psyche. And everybody needs something to, you know, want to dream about, achieve, and to have something like that would definitely help the industry, you know, and it would keep people and young people and amateur people in the sport, because it's something for them as well. Instead of that, it's very hard sometimes to be taking on the big trainers and the top trainers all the time. We need to be looking at sponsorship and getting in sponsorship, but not only getting in, somebody needs to start either working on a commission that the more he delivers, the more wages he gets, because Razldazl Kennels and even some of the sponsorship we'd have done with Michael Dunn, a joint venture, we sponsored a good bit, you know, down through the years. And last year, because we had struggled to get a puppy race for Razldazl Luke, we went to the Premier Track and said that we would sponsor a puppy race. The puppy race was going to be that while the derby was on, say any dog that possibly was young that got eliminated from the derby could run in on the same nights, but in their own age group, and we'd sponsor a race. So that didn't materialise for a number of reasons, their own reasons, but that was last September, and that was our first sponsorship to do in 2012. And because it didn't materialise, nothing happened. So from September, the whole of 2012, and we're into 2013, there hasn't been one person picked up the phone and approached us to see would we sponsor a race. The people need to start driving the sponsorship, because it's key. You know, we need sponsorship and we need it badly. You see, the prize money has dropped absolutely dramatically. It's half the prize money. And a lot of the prize money that's been paid out as well, don't forget, the increase in entry fees has doubled. So it's double nearly the entry fees that we're paying, and yet we're running for half the money. You take it Mullingar, the Cesarage is on at the moment, and it'll just tell you the way our prize money has gone down. The runner-up this year, the winner this year gets €500 or something more than the runner-up would have got 2 or 3 years ago. We need to start getting people, you know, through the gates as well to, you know, keep our industry going. And it's all about marketing, it's all about advertising. And we need to start getting more charity meetings being run, because they definitely do get people in the door.